How's it going, everyone? Today we're going to be looking at my top 10 tips that are essential for live streaming. My name's Adam, and I am an Assembly of God world missionary to Spain. And I am also a digital media strategist. And one of the things that I've noticed over the past couple of weeks with this quarantine that's been going on is that there are a lot of people who are live streaming for the first time, whether it's churches or businesses that are trying to further their reach in their communities. They're using social media and live streaming to do it. And so these are my top 10 tips to be effective at it. So let's jump right on in. Tip number 1 is to lock down your camera. There are a lot of people who are handing off their cameras to their friends, co-workers, whether it's a minister, handing it off to his spouse or a kid, somebody in the church, or whatever the case is. Phones are being handed off to somebody else to hold them for messages so that way you can relay your message. And what happens with this is people, you can start seeing them breathe and the camera goes up and down like this. And as it goes on and somebody's hands start getting tired and muscles start to shake from holding it in place for a while, the camera starts to shake. And this creates a movement that for some people, it makes them motion sick, and it makes it where they will have to turn off the video that they're watching. And so with this being in mind, we want to lock down our cameras. We want to put them on a tripod. If you have a phone case that has a kickstand similar to this, then you want to utilize these things so that way you can make your film as steady as possible, make your camera as steady as possible. One of the things that you can use is called a gimbal. So this is my gimbal. It is a Zhiyun Smooth 4. This is a great tool. I absolutely love it. It's for my phone. It's really simple to work. You put your phone in it like this, boom, and then you turn it on and watch what it does. It steadies your camera for you. I like this one particularly because it does have a tripod on it, so you can open it up, you can set it on a desk, or you can set it somewhere so that way the camera can be aimed towards you as you're giving your message, and it makes life a lot easier. And then it also is easy to turn off. When you turn it off, it goes like this, then you can remove your phone from it and set it off to the side. The other thing is a standard tripod. You can get them from your local department stores. You can get them from high-end camera shops, whatever the case is. Think about your needs and what you need to accomplish for live streaming. Now, I will put links in the comments below, or actually in the description below, for my Zhiyun, for DJI. They have something very similar. I can recommend these two brands for you because I've used both of them. The second thing is audio. There's an old saying that says, where people will forgive low quality video, they will not forgive low quality audio. Now, what exactly is low quality audio? That is where you can hear a bunch of different things in the background, whether it be an echo from the room, reverberation from other things like speakers that are sending sound signals, hisses and pops, and maybe even, let's say you're filming for the first time, you're live streaming your Sunday morning message if you're a pastor. You know, things like people shuffling papers in the background or coughing and different things like that that are distractions. If your audio is too loud and it's really making people turn their sound way down and covering their ears, or maybe it's too low and people are having to really boost up the volume so that way they can actually hear what you're saying. These are all things that contribute to good audio. So what I recommend is to get a microphone that will plug directly into your camera. And so whether it's a DSLR like what I have, or whether it is a cell phone like this, there are microphones that you can plug into these to make it easier. Or in the case of what I'm doing today, I have a lapel mic that's going into my Tascam audio recorder. Zoom also has a version of this, and it is a secondary audio. So my camera is capturing audio and this Tascam is capturing audio, and I'm going to use whichever one sounds the best. And so anyways, that is a great example of what you can do. If you are a minister and you are speaking into a microphone, make sure that your camera is not picking up the sound from your monitors or from speakers going into your auditorium. Make sure, because it can actually have weird sound effects go on there that people really will cringe at and they won't like. And so if you have a microphone, make sure it goes to your soundboard and then record it through your soundboard to your device, or however you can do that. There are many ways of going about doing that. Tip 3 is lighting. This is a huge area where, colleges have full semesters of lighting classes. There are hundreds upon hundreds of lighting videos on YouTube that you can go and watch. What I want you to be aware of is that you are lit well, so that way people see who you are and they can tell who you are. For example, I have a minister friend who they just did their first live stream not too long ago from their living room. He was sitting in his recliner and the light was back here, and he had can lights in the ceiling that were shining down behind him. And this put him in silhouette, and it was hard to see who he was. And at the same time, I have another minister friend who they put the light like right here in front of them, and it cast really deep shadows on their face. And it made them look like they had the raccoon eyes, and it just wasn't flattering. And so here's what I recommend to do for lighting. This is the easiest thing to do because God has already provided it for us. Wherever your filming location is, make sure that you go to a north or a south facing window. And then you set your camera up right next to the window, and you stand on the inside. As the camera's pointing towards you, away from the window, you are looking towards your camera where the window is. And so this way, the window will just naturally light you. It'll be a soft light. It'll show who you are. And at the same time, the fall off in the background will cause the background to be dark. So that way the attention through lighting is on you as the subject, as you present your message or the material that you're needing to present. Tip number 4 is something that a lot of people don't think about, and that is cleaning off your camera lens. Now, if you're like me and you have a DSLR or a dedicated video camera that records everything, you're not going to necessarily have this problem. It is good to make sure you don't have any specks or dust or anything like that on your lens, but I know that most people during this time are using their cell phones so that way they can live stream a lot easier. And one of the things about a cell phone is it goes in and out of your pocket. You're touching it, you're turning it, you're playing games on it, you're doing all kinds of different things, which means you may be touching this lens. And if you touch this lens, the grease and the oil from your fingers gets put on it, and it can cause some weird things to happen. It can cause streaking. It can cause a weird lighting aberration. Anyways, it can prevent your video from being in focus. And so it's a really simple fix. Take your shirt or take a lens cleaning cloth, wipe it off really good, and you are good to go with that. Tip number 5 is to look at your camera while you're giving your message or while you're presenting the content you are looking to create. Tip number 6 is to also speak to your camera as if it was a person standing in front of you. Both of these tips go hand in hand because one deals with video, one deals with audio. Those are each separate components, but together is how you make a video. And so when you look at your camera and you imagine that it is your audience, the people who you're speaking to right now, then you will connect with them a lot better. I have a lot of pastors and friends that preach from stage quite often, that give their message from a stage or a classroom setting or something along those lines. And so what I've seen over the past couple of weeks is they want to keep everything as normal as possible. And so they'll get up and teach, or they'll give their message like they normally would. And they'll be turning from this side, acting like their sanctuary or their classroom is full, and they'll go over here and they're trying to make contact with people. But right now during this time, with the quarantine going on, there is nobody in those classrooms. There's nobody in that sanctuary. And so I recommend for you to look directly at your camera and talk and share just as if you were standing right in front of the person you were speaking with. This makes it a lot more personable than trying to make it feel like you're in an auditorium where a lot of people are sitting. Now, I will say that once this quarantine is over and you get back into your classrooms, you get back on to the stage in your church, whatever the case is, this tip goes out the window. But during quarantine, while there's nobody filling your pews, think about where the people are at and then direct your attention there. They're looking on their cell phones, they're looking on their tablets, and they're looking on their computers. And so therefore, that's where you want to concentrate, and that is what your camera is for. So concentrate your attention, concentrate your eyes and your voice on your camera for tips number 5 and 6. Tip number 7 is don't share from where you normally share from. For ministers, this is really difficult, and I know for teachers as well, because you are trying to teach from your platform. Whether that's at the front of the classroom or whether it's on stage, you're trying to do the same thing. I want you to break the mold. Go out and find a place such as your coffee shop in your church, such as your office at your desk, or maybe you're at home sitting at your table in the kitchen and you're having coffee and speaking with your people. That's what I want you to think about doing and having a shot similar to this, because it makes it more personable. And when you get more personable with people, your message is more likely to be heard. And that's our focus, is when we're preaching and teaching, when we're sharing our message, we want as many people to hear it as possible. And so when we sit down and we're in a more intimate environment like this right here, it makes it a lot easier for people to pay attention to what you're saying. Tip number 8, just do one service or one video. I know many ministers out there who your services consist of like an early morning traditional service and a mid-morning contemporary service and maybe a early afternoon contemporary service, something along those lines. Or for teachers, I know that you're really trying to teach multiple classes throughout the day. But I want you to concentrate on the subject itself, on the message that you have, and I want you to share one really good message with your people, so that way you just have the one video that's recorded live, or you pre-record it, whichever way is best for you. Then you set it to go at a typical time. So let's say 10 a.m. is your typical morning service time for Sundays, or your class is at 10 a.m. throughout the weekday. And so the idea here is that you do it once, and then people will watch this at their own timing. And so there's no need to do a 8 a.m., a 10 a.m., and a noon service and do those all live stream. You just need to do it once, because people are going to tune in where they want to. And right now during the quarantine, people are taking advantage of it. And on Saturdays and Sundays, they're sleeping in a little bit later if their kids will let them. And they're taking their time getting ready in the mornings and eating breakfast. And so chances are they're not going to watch your message at the exact time that you would like them to. Now, I understand that there's an importance in watching this all together and being the body of Christ, or being the collection of students who are learning. And so I want you to think about that, because people can go back through later after you've recorded this one sermon or this one message. It's saved on the platform. So whether it's Facebook or YouTube or Instagram, wherever, it's saved there. So people can go back later and watch it whenever they feel like it's time to sit down and watch that video. Tip number 9. Know where your audience is. I mean, we all know our audience right now, because of quarantine, they're watching from their phones, their tablets, their computers. Some are even streaming to their TVs at home. And so, that's where people physically are. But where are they watching from digitally? Are they watching from Facebook? Are they watching from YouTube? Are they watching from TikTok? Wherever they're watching from is where you need to be. So if the majority of your people that you're trying to give this message to, if they are all on Facebook, that's where you want to concentrate the majority of your messages is on Facebook, and the majority of your time to doing Facebook. Now, let's say you are a specialized minister. You are a minister, you're a youth pastor. And so look at where your students are. Are they on Facebook? I doubt it. More than likely, they are on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or some of these other social media platforms. And so wherever they're at, that is where you want to concentrate your efforts for sharing your message. Tip number 10, this is probably the most radical tip, the most unconventional, and goes against everything else that everybody else is doing. And that is, do not live stream. Yeah, I said it. Don't live stream. With what's been happening over the past couple of weeks, with technological difficulties, with bandwidth consumption within your community, with Facebook actually having issues on their end, same thing with YouTube, it is better to not live stream right now. What I would recommend you do is prepare your message earlier in the week than what you normally would, and then record it during the week. So that way that gives you time to then go through and edit it. And then you can use Facebook Creator Studio. Once you're done editing Facebook Creator Studio, you can schedule that video out for the time that you normally would have service or class. And then you can be in the comments and you can tell people from your video, hey, we are in the comments and we're going to make contact with you through the comments. So if you have any questions or you need prayer, let us know in the comments and we'll direct our time, our attention there. And so in order to do this, everything else that we've talked about, like the lighting and audio and where you're going and all these different things, have all of that stuff pre-planned out and set it up. So that way, you have your lighting, you have your audio, everything's ready, your camera is ready, and then you have your notes for your message, and then you can share that way. In a time like this, that might be better for you, because then if you are like me and when you're teaching or when you're sharing a message and you get off on a rabbit trail, maybe that rabbit trail isn't convenient or purposed for that one message. And so you can cut that rabbit trail out, which shortens your video. Now we've shared these 10 tips. I want to give you a bonus tip. This one is for marketing. So any video that you do that is longer than 3 to 5 minutes is considered a long form video or long form content. And so here's what I want you to do. Sit down with somebody else on your staff or a friend or family member who can help you choose 5, actually let's go 6, who can help you choose 6 Bible verses, and you're looking at the long form video that you created for Sunday or for your class. So you're going to look at quotes that you say, you're going to look at your main points, you're going to look at Bible verses, you're going to look at anything that you say that's encouraging, and you are going to create clips from those things that are anywhere from 60 to 90 seconds long. All right, you're going to export those out, and then you're going to use Facebook Creator Studio, and you're going to post those out for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, every day at noon. And so you'll have a different one every day at noon. And in the description for that little clip, you're going to put a link so people can go back through and watch that video, that long form video from Sunday. This ensures that more people see your content and see the message that you have for them. It also helps to reach further out in your community, because when somebody from your church or from your class shares something that you have to say on their social media platform, then it reaches out even further to people who may not know who you are. They may not know your church or what class you're teaching. And so that helps them to find you as well. So these are my 10 tips for effective live streaming. I hope that you found them helpful. And if in this adventure of live streaming and figuring everything out, if you've run across tips or hacks that have been beneficial to you, please let us know in the comments below so that way we can know what those are, and maybe they'll make it into a future video. Who knows? So give us a thumbs up if you liked this video, and share us with others that you feel like need to hear this message. If you haven't already, please subscribe and hit that bell to be notified when more video content like this has been uploaded. So thank you once again for viewing, and we hope that you have a blessed day. Thank you so much.